All right, Dean, you have 1 week left before you're gone, so you better make the most of your time on the Sunday Puncher podcast. All right, let's see. What are we going to talk about today, guys? All right, so we're going to go over the fights this weekend. We're going to talk a lot about Kovalev, his fight with Mohammedi, his fight going forward, the one that is going to take place in Russia, as well as the one that's not going to happen with Adonis Stevenson. The Pascal Gonzalez fight, which was much closer than anybody anticipated, including HBO's broadcast team. The Golovkin Lemieux pay-per-view that just got announced yesterday, and then next week's fight, which include Luke Campbell returning, the highly anticipated welterweight debut of Danny Garcia against welterweight crusher Paulie Malignaggi, the middleweight title fight between Danny Jacobs and Sergio Mora. Then the Sunday card, which a lot of people might be sleeping on and don't know that's happening, but Juan Carlos Payano is going to defend his WBA bantamweight title against American prospect Rasheed Warren. And then also Joseph Parker's back, and Parker's starting to grab a lot of attention. And then we'll run over some of the news, and that'll be it for this week, and that'll be it for you, Dean. So welcome, Jason and Dean.
Fine. Fuck you.
All right, then. We wouldn't expect anything less from you.
Thank you.
So, guys, we had a ton of fights this weekend that were essentially stay busy or showcase fights. We saw Frank Buglioni stop Fernando Castaneda in 5 rounds. Billy Joe Saunders, in preparation for his middleweight title fight with Andy Lee, which is going to be a fight of the year candidate, stopped Yohan Bloyer in 4 rounds. Derek Chisora woke up. He's been asleep for, over a year now. Knocked out some domestic guy in 1 round with a really good right hand.
One punch.
David Price was dropped just watching that punch. Brian Valoria stopped Omar Soto in 1 round, which proves a lot about Brian Valoria's standing in the flyweight division. Expect to see him fight Roman Gonzalez soon. And Moises Fuentes knocked out Oswaldo Novoa, which was fairly predictable. So it's a lot of talking from me, and now we want to hear what you guys got to say about Sergey Kovalev and Najib Mohammedi. Somebody's got to say it. You know what's there on all of our minds, and I'll listening too.
Take this,
Jason.
Yeah, I mean it's a showcase fight, right?
We should have a Jason showcase fight counter.
What it is it's a countdown, and it how many minutes does it take for me to say it once the recording starts?
What was it? We got 2 minutes.
I think we got 2 minutes this time. That's a record in length too. Normally it comes out a little quicker. But I mean, come on, give me a break. It was a clear. What you want to call it? Stay busy, fine.
No,
but when it's a main event fight in the main event of a card, I start to call it a showcase fight. It's not just to stay busy. It's not like he's fighting off TV, But hey, it's his mandatory. Right? That was a mandatory for one of his belts. So Mohammedi worked his way through the rankings. However, he managed to do that. Under the tutelage of Abel Sanchez,
who we met like 2 weeks ago.
Right, which was interesting. And then there you go. You couldn't expect it anything more or less. This shouldn't change anybody's opinions of Kovalev. It shouldn't change anybody's opinions of anything. The real key talking point of this event is more the undercard there.
We don't want to jump onto that yet, but I was going to say, shouldn't there be some criticism? I know that Mohammedi was the mandatory challenger ordered by the IBF.
Right.
But this guy lost to Nathan Cleverly.
So then you have a problem with the way the rankings are set, and that's fine. Certainly.
We have seen in the past, though, that HBO rejects mandatory challengers. We've seen them do it over and over again. Why didn't they reject this one?
I'll tell you why they didn't reject this one. Because main events went out on a limb with Kovalev and tried to get him the Stevenson fight. And then all of a sudden they didn't have the backing of HBO to try to outbid the war chest of Al Heyman. So main events pulled their purse bid, left Kovalev without the Stevenson fight, and turned this into basically the fault of Kovalev and his promoter, Main Events. So now HBO, for not letting Sergey go, right? They need to like kind of get him in these high-paid showcase fights, and they need to keep paying him and not reject these fights, because Main Events decided, rather than break their working relationship with HBO and get Kovalev the fight that every single boxing fan wants to see, they decided to keep Kovalev on HBO. So in return, HBO has to do something for that, which is present showcase fights for him, pay him high money, low risk fights. And that's what you're getting. And that's why you're getting this as a main event. And it's frustrating as a boxing fan, because we were just really, really close to getting the fight that we all wanted. But instead, we get this.
Yeah, as a boxing fan, from that perspective, this fight was awful. It was a waste of time. And that's no disrespect to Muhammadi, because he's a solid domestic fighter, but against a guy who's unified 3 titles out of 4 major titles in the light heavyweight division, and a guy that's arguably one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport, Andre Berto is going to be more competitive with Floyd Mayweather than Muhammadi is going to be with Kovalev. Paul Smith was more competitive, and in a rematch would still be more competitive with Andre Ward than Muhammadi was with Kovalev.
And what really pisses me off is there's still this narrative out here that Stevenson's the ducker. And I mean, you know me really good, Angelo. Yeah. You know my feelings about Stevenson.
The fact that you're saying that is,
you know what I mean? So it is infuriating as a boxing fan, and as an educated boxing fan who has an understanding of kind of what happened in that scenario. That somehow Stevenson is still looked upon as the bad guy, Stevenson and Al Heyman, when they were the ones, Jan Michael, when they were the ones who were willing to put up the big money and put up a massive payday. It would have been Kovalev's biggest payday to date, probably by 2 or 3 times what he's ever made, and then it's Main Events who pulls out of it, yet somehow Kovalev still got the goodwill of fighting fans. People love him, and I'm sitting there watching the fight with my wife, and she knows a little bit of the backstory, and she's like, "But how could you not like him? Look at his face. Oh, he's so cute.
Because he hates
beats
black
the shit
people?
out of people."
Because he hates black people.
That's another. But even that, people have managed to be able to kind of look over to a lesser degree. But the fact that he gets away in this whole narrative of Stevenson as being the ducker and runner is, oh man, coming from somebody who hates Stevenson, it really fucking pisses me off to have to say this.
Yeah, let me just clarify. Kovalev doesn't hate black people. Main Events posted a lot of pictures of Kovalev with black people, so he really doesn't mind them. It's just Stevenson.
Because he's got black friends.
And Correct. The majority of the HBO broadcast was Kovalev, with his trainer, and it just seemed like they were overly pushing this, to a degree that was kind of huh? This is strange.
Not racist. He was a black person.
I promise, he's not racist. He goes to a gym with a black person.
I mean, that's the one thing that HBO is good at, is pushing a narrative, and that's why we like them, and that's why they're the standard in boxing, because they know how to story. Do it. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the only way you can get people to care about fights. I mean, Kovalev, I mean, there are very few fights in boxing that can sell without a story. And usually all of those fights include Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao. And what HBO has done, taking a guy like Gennady Golovkin and turned him into what is now potentially a pay-per-view star is amazing. But a lot of the blame here, I think, because this is a pretty poor match, and especially for a 2-fight card, it has got to go to HBO for accepting this fight.
Really?
What do you mean?
Because I'm just completely disillusioned with the way that Main Events are taking Kovalev at the moment. Whether it is HBO or Main Events, somebody's pulling the trigger on these fights, and the path that they've got for Kovalev was the Muhammadi fight, and then this defense in Russia in Moscow, and then a fucking rematch with Pascal next year in 2016. And this is the guy who holds 3 of the 4 main belts in the division. What is that? What sort of a setup is that to have him do that?
This was the point of the point of this event was, okay, the opening bout, Pascal Gonzalez. Pascal blows out Gonzalez, looks amazing, looks reinvigorated after his loss to Kovalev, and has earned and deserved that rematch. Kovalev goes out there, does actually fulfill the narrative in what he does to Muhammadi, and then bam, Pascal and Kovalev are on a collision course for each other. Once again, Stevenson, who's that? Right? That was the hope of this event, and this is what I kind of harped on earlier, is that the bigger story in this event was the Pascal Gonzalez fight and how that went completely fucking off script. And now, do you guys think Pascal earned a rematch?
Before we jump on that, I want to just say this one thing about the light heavyweight division. And it seems like HBO, what they've done is they put a lot of money into 2 light heavyweights and forgot about the rest of the division. And they do this a lot. And it's not just HBO, other networks, where they invest in 1 or 2 fighters in a division and forget that they need to build the entire division and at least mention names a lot, so that when those guys get brought in, like when you bring in an Elliott or Alvarez to fight Kovalev, it doesn't just occur as like, oh, they got some random guy off the street. Oh, Muhammadi, some random guy off the street. Really, he wasn't even ranked in the top 10 at light heavyweight. But that familiarity brings some legitimacy to these fights. But now, Pascal and Gonzalez, where do you guys want to start? The scoring, the unnecessary brutality of that fight, given that we know Pascal can be pretty clever on defense. HBO's, I think they were pretty biased with their commentary, and I don't think that was, that they had an agenda, but more like they were so shocked with how good Gonzalez looked at times that he had fooled them. Harold Letterman saying that any 99, or was it 90? Let's just give him 90, since 99 would be crazy. But saying 90% of the time when a fighter is backing up, fighting off the back foot, they're losing the round.
Was Gonzalez that good, or was Pascal that distinctly average?
Let me ask you this. Why didn't you watch it?
Why? Because I didn't want to stay up until 4 a.m. to watch a card that was being headlined by a gatekeeper in Pascal fighting Gonzalez, and then for Kovalev to absolutely steamroll this poor guy who's been thrown in there with him. There's absolutely no motivation to want to watch that.
Fair enough.
I've watched since. I've watched it in my own time, but I'm not going to watch that shit live. Not if that's what I'm having to stay up to watch. 4 a.m. for that.
Well,
nah.
To answer your question, Pascal, I don't even know how to put this. Jason, you help me out here. Was it that Pascal just was average? I mean, he did some good things. It's really hard to say because Pascal had moments where he was very good. He was getting off and landing huge shots on Gonzalez. But Gonzalez had his chin was ridiculous, and there was maybe 2 times in the entire fight when Pascal was landing shots that Roy Jones would land and put people to sleep with, and Gonzalez just kind of stared at him. And the same with Gonzalez. He was hitting Pascal with these shots, and Pascal just kind of, I mean, if you've watched Pascal's scene, or if you've watched him fight, you know that he kind of has this, like, every time he gets hit, he has this deer in the headlights look where he's like thinking, like, did that hurt me or not? And the fight was full of that. Pascal he actually looked just like he did in the Kovalev fight, where Kovalev didn't struggle to hit him. And Pascal looked pretty good in that fight because he had trained for specific combinations that Kovalev frequently throws. But Gonzalez was much better than advertised. He fought in a more aggressive style than people were probably expecting a Cuban guy. And there was not much defense in this fight, is a way to put it.
Where do you rate Pascal at light heavyweight now? I've got BoxRec, or just looking at their rankings, and obviously we've got Kovalev and Stevenson, pick or choose who's number 1, number 2 between them. Then you've got Fonfara, Raymer, Alvarez, Beterbiev, Chilemba, and then Pascal. And then around him you've got Hopkins, Oosthuizen, Chavez, and Cleverly.
Chavez?
Yeah. You know what? I actually think that would be a really good fight. Pascal against Chavez.
Chavez would quit.
Come on, he's not Daniel Geale. He's done it once.
I was thinking that you were going to actually say Cotto, but I think Pascal is around 5 or 6. I don't see him beating Fonfara. I think Fonfara is just too active for a guy like Pascal, who likes to fight when he wants to and on his terms. He'll outbox Beterbiev, probably. Beterbiev, we've seen, is just a one-punch guy. Alvarez is interesting. I think he can outbox Pascal. That looks probably like the first Hopkins fight. And I'm not saying that Alvarez is as good as Hopkins, but he is wily like Hopkins is. He does fight in a defensive style. And Chilemba will outwork Pascal probably. If he can stay on his feet, he'll outwork Pascal easily.
Look good against Chilemba. That's a fight you don't want to ever take. No, especially in Pascal's situation now.
There's a reason why Kovalev hasn't gotten in the ring with Chilemba.
Yeah, 12 rounds of... What's the word you keep using? Grind. It's just a grind.
Yeah.
When you fight the guy.
Chilemba's one of the ultimate grinders in the sport, where if you can't knock him out, if you can't completely Mayweather or Ward style outbox him, every round will be close, and you will pay for everything. Even if you win, you're not gonna get out of there easily.
What was the last Chilemba fight?
He fought on HBO pretty recently against some guy.
Was it that Lepekin guy?
Yeah, Lepekin.
Yeah, I remember that. And what was Lepekin going into it? He was like 17-0 and some prospects.
Yeah.
And then Chilemba just
whooped him.
Yeah. I remember the guy just looking at his corner. Was it like his dad? And he was just looking at him like, what the fuck is this? Like, what am I meant to do here?
Well, so the bottom line is, though, the script, it went off script.
Yeah.
It went off script, and in the long run, that now where's Kovalev go? Because Pascal won in impressive fashion. It would have been a fight that boxing fans would have said, okay. But now there's no way you could sell me Kovalev Pascal. No way.
What about Gonzalez?
Now that's another story. I'd be more than happy to watch that fight, actually. And I really hope that whoever involved could find a way to make that fight. I don't think that Pascal's going to step out of the way quite so easily. But personally, yeah, I would find that fight pretty compelling and a lot more interesting than I would a rematch with Pascal.
There's only so many times you can show Pascal's daughter crying before you think this is too much to watch.
Unless there's some deal in place, you can. If you're main events, you cannot do the Pascal fight. It will kill Kovalev's momentum. If this fight wasn't bad enough, and then to put him in there with Pascal, who was a sitting duck sometimes. Gonzalez won that fight, by the way. The scoring was off. It was closer than HBO portrayed it, that's for sure. But it wasn't no Pascal unanimous decision. If you would have got one card, fine.
Yeah.
But all three?
It was interesting scoring.
And, the good thing I think about that card, because, they were saying that Warriors, Star Boxing or something? Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing?
Yeah.
That they had put in everything that they had into Gonzalez.
On the line. Yeah.
Yeah, their entire business was on the line. And I think they actually, with Gonzalez losing, will earn more in the long run because now he's gotten, the fans behind him. If you'd have beat Pascal, fine, you beat Pascal, but he sucks. But you beat him and you didn't get it. People love...
It's like the Rosado effect. Yeah. You love that guy that takes a beating but still wins, but then comes up short, and people could, that relates to people in their life. Hardworking people who go to work every day, they work hard, then they don't get the promotion. You know what I mean? But they worked harder than the guy who did.
Yeah.
That resonates with people.
Yeah. HBO would do well to play up that angle.
And they can, and they know how to,
On the other hand, though,
am I the only one that's starting to miss Manny Pacquiao? No, I'm just reading what some of the new threads that came up.
Well, I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I miss Terrence Crawford, and I don't care about Manny Pacquiao right now.
Oh, God, I miss Crawford, too.
If I'm Gonzalez, though, do I look at Al Heyman and say, what do you got for me?
If I'm Gonzalez, if I'm Pascal, especially if I'm Kovalev, I look at Al Heyman and I say, hey, where that money?
And Heyman opens up a bag
and just showers them with fucking cash.
He gives it to you. Actually, he probably doesn't own a bag. He takes out his wallet and says, "Oh, here."
Yeah.
I'm not even going to dip into the bag for this.
Yeah, you don't deserve the bag.
At what point do people realize light heavyweight is a dead division other than Kovalev Stevenson?
Ooh,
if that fight happens tomorrow, that division's dead.
Well, until Andre Ward shows up, and then it's going to be really dead when he beats everybody.
Everybody.
There's not like an array of talent coming through. Like, who have you got? Shabransky is like the brightest prospect.
He got floored in the first round of his fight. He was almost gone in the first round of his fight.
He got Amir Khan in the first round.
Except he got up.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. And then, depending on who you asked, he looked absolutely amazing in the next round to come back and beat him. But
all right, let's wrap this one up, guys.
So, I wanted to get onto this next thing of, and we're going to talk a lot about Kovalev today, but main events came out today, and they said that Kovalev's already scheduled to come back November 28th in Russia, and they are planning on extending an invitation or an offer, making an offer to Artur Beterbiev, who is promoted by Yvon Michel, but which is ridiculous because if you're going to offer an Al Haymon fighter a fight, why not offer Stevenson the fight?
Hang on, what happened? They just did this with Stevenson. This is basically what just happened. They were like, hey, we're going to force a fight through the sanctioning bodies with one of Haymon's fighters.
Yeah, and then they pulled out.
You know what I mean? And then what?
But what is the intention here? Well, the intention isn't to make the fight. They probably have no intention.
Not. No, of course not. Just like they clearly had no intention of making the Stevenson fight.
So what are they playing at?
It's the same thing that they just played at. Like, oh, hey, we could get the fans on our side by saying we're willing to make the fight, but as long as you don't follow it closely enough, you'll never know that.
And even making an offer, too. Because you can offer Beterbiev whatever. Haymon's the one who is going to decide who he fights. And then they put it on Haymon and say, oh, well, we offered a fight to Beterbiev, but Haymon is the one who didn't want it, so therefore Haymon is the bad guy here. And people fall for it every single time.
Yeah. Because Haymon's the villain already, so it's easy to keep portraying him as the one who's blocking fights and stopping fights. Fans eat that shit up.
All right, so that's enough of Kovalev talk for now. I don't think we're going to talk about it again.
People aren't going to be. I'll be honest. Like, who's going to be happy with that Kovalev talk? I'm not trying to drive away listeners, but it's not the narrative that people want to hear.
No, but it's an objective look at it. It's an objective look. And you know, sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the hype, and especially when HBO is doing it, because nobody does it like HBO.
Nobody does it more convincing. Oh God. Yeah.
You know, you look at what HBO does with the 2 days and the road to whoever versus whoever and 24/7. Nobody does it like that. And it's why people love HBO. It's why, you know, because it's just not blatant. You know, Showtime is really blatant what they're trying to do.
They're very heavy-handed.
Yeah, HBO is subtle. You don't realize it when you're listening to, because, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Here's when you
start to realize it, when they're like, oh shit, Pascal isn't winning this fight. Oh fuck. You realize that, like, they didn't do their homework because they figured something significantly different was going to happen. Like, that became very obvious very early on in that fight.
I mean, the only thing I had to say about the Pascal Gonzalez fight before it happened was, we'll see how much Pascal has left, because how much he has left is how much he has a chance of winning this fight.
Right, that's what was going to make the difference.
So, more HBO, in Gennady Golovkin versus David Lemieux has been announced. It's a unification in the middleweight division. Can you sell me this on pay-per-view? Why do I order it?
Stop trying to get me to write your preview for you.
Oh, you know I'm not going with this narrative. Come on. Hold on, I heard Dean yelling in the background. What are you angry about, Dean?
It's Golovkin. Oh my God, it's Golovkin. You've got to pay money because it's Golovkin. And he's knocked out his last 17 C+ fucking fighters in a row with Golovkin. That's why you've got to buy it.
Wow, this is the Negative Nancy podcast.
I'll be honest, I bought Golovkin Ishida.
You bought it?
Yeah.
Nearly killed him.
Correct.
I wanted to watch a man die in the ring. That's so. No, I obviously didn't want that, but I did pay for that fight. But it was $15 in HD.
Right. Well,
it wasn't. It's not. It wasn't. Whatever the fuck this crazy thing's gonna cost.
I paid for more shameful things. So.
Yes.
Try and sell it, yeah. It's the fight that everybody wants to see Golovkin in, if he can't fight the guys everybody wants to see. That's about as good as I can put it.
It's the third place of fights.
Well, let me.
The bronze medal of
It's
middleweight.
the bronze medal of Golovkin fights.
All right, but it's you guys. I got to take the other side here.
Yeah, I know.
You guys are being so unfair. So
yeah.
Look, there's no reason for Golovkin to fight Cotto. We know how that fight ends.
I agree.
Cotto's not going to pose any threat to Golovkin. He just doesn't have the length, the size, the power, the whatever, the heart, the anything. It's just not going to stand up to Golovkin's crushing power and the pressure that he brings. Canelo's too young. I wouldn't do that fight. And even though he's
admit that. So okay. So
I wouldn't do that fight if I'm Golden Boy. It's just too much risk too soon for Canelo. He can clean out his division before he can go off to middleweight.
Okay.
Andre Ward is the lineal champion at super middleweight. Do we really want Golovkin to let me just move up to super middleweight, a division I've never fought at, and fight the best fighter not only in that division but almost in the sport?
Never a smart move.
That's an ignorant
Never
move.
a smart move for anybody.
And if I'm Andre Ward, why do I move down to middleweight to fight a titleist there? That doesn't seem like it's best if you have the prestige you have to your career. Let's see, who else are people asking for? I mean, those are the three fights that people want to see Golovkin.
Those are the three big ones.
Froch retired. He doesn't want to box anymore. Chavez is Chavez. So look, this is the best fight you can make. Lemieux is not that same guy people thought he was before. Rubio knocked him out. But have you seen Lemieux fight when he was younger? This guy had one game plan, and it was just to hit people as hard as he possibly can.
To knock your head off. Yeah.
And land the one-punch knockouts. He wasn't even interested in setting punches up, just one at a time. And now Lemieux's added a lot of wrinkles to his game. You saw him, outwork, outbox, and outpower Hassan N'Dam, who's one of the trickiest fighters in the sport, a real grinder, an awkward guy. So Lemieux's come a long way. This is the guy that, he could hurt Golovkin. He could knock him out. Conceivably, he'll get lucky. This is as close as we're gonna get to Kovalev Stevenson.
I would never suggest that this fight is on the same competitive level that Kovalev Stevenson is on.
Are you sure? Because it sounded last week. You sounded really confident last week that Kovalev would beat Stevenson easily.
I would. So that just imagine how confident I am that Golovkin beats Lemieux.
All right, so let's just take predictions because I think I've done a good job. I think everybody's on my side now. No counterpoints for you guys.
Well, your counterpoint for Canelo is purely business. I'm a boxing fan. I want to see that fight.
I'm a businessman.
Yeah, well, I'm a boxing fan, and I want to see that fight.
These are the clearly defined roles that we have on this podcast, and Dean is just...
I'm a cynic.
Right. Well, we've figured that one out already. Let me ask you guys this, though, because I'm the businessman here. How many buys does this do? And let me just give you some references, okay?
No. Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you mine.
Let me give you some comparison numbers, though. So Pacquiao Mayweather did like 4.2 or something.
Great comparison.
Mayweather Cotto did 1.5.
Also, really, really solid comparison.
Relevant too. Sergio Martinez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah, now we're talking.
That did 475,000. Bradley Marquez did 375, and Canelo Angulo, wait for it,
350.
How did you know?
Because I fucking remember things every once in a while.
I'm glad you prepare. So
no,
all right,
prepare? Yeah, that's what I do all week.
So who or what does this number do? Or what? Sorry, what does this fight do? As well as
you listeners won't know this, but I've already answered it 5 times, and he keeps editing out because he knows how correct I am.
I'm going to edit that part out too.
It's 350,000, roughly. I'd say I would guess that it does anywhere from 3 to 350.
So you think that they can do the same number that Canelo did against Angulo? This is Canelo coming off the Mayweather fight? Canelo, the Mexican superstar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Against Alfredo Action Angulo?
Yep.
Yeah,
you want to know why? Because people fucking love Golovkin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed.
You mean it's not Lemieux that's going to bring in? gonna bring in all the buys.
I understand that, like, I don't know where. Actually, I don't understand. I don't know where, like, you're fearful that Canelo's reign as, like, the second draw in boxing or something is not gonna, like, come to fruition. But yeah, dude, he's gonna sell just as many. He's gonna sell just as many pay-per-views as Canelo can.
I just don't know that Golovkin is that much of a crossover star. Because here's the thing, I think about 350, maybe 300,000 is guaranteed. No matter what you put on pay-per-view, that's probably what you're going to get as long as you put on like one of the stars of boxing. And star is very loosely defined. I think Danny Garcia can be considered a star. So can Keith Thurman.
No way is Danny Garcia selling 300 to 350,000 pay-per-views.
You put Garcia versus someone good on a
pay-per-view? It has to be Garcia versus who?
You put him on pay-per-view with like Robert Guerrero, and that probably does 300,000.
That probably does 175.
That's still a decent number, considering that Hopkins versus Dawson did like 40,000. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you guys is that with that number, okay, let's just go with 350,000. Let's actually be generous. Let's say 475.
No, I don't agree to that. But
well, let's be generous. Let's be generous.
The fuck? Okay.
So let's be generous and say Golovkin, Lemieux.
Is this conversation as crazy as it seems?
Yes.
Does adding Roman Gonzalez onto the card add a single buy?
Yeah, the president of Nicaragua
buys it and then shows it at a football stadium for free for
everybody. Shows it at a football stadium
to
watch. The entire country for free.
Do they even have football in Nicaragua?
Well, they have the right kind of football.
Soccer.
American. No, just kidding.
All right, no, but I don't think that adding Gonzalez onto this card is even necessary. I think if you're gonna buy, if you see Golovkin, Lemieux on pay-per-view, there's very little that can be added onto this card that makes it instant buy.
Or, I mean, like, yeah, if you're gonna keep Golovkin, Lemieux as the headliner, yeah, you're right. There's not much you could add.
The only thing I think you can add,
you like throw on the undercard of Canelo, Cotto or something. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
the buys.
But
I don't think there's going to be too many people that are on the fence. You're going to be on one side. Like Golovkin is either must watch or not really that important. I think though.
So that's why I'm saying like that's the same thing with almost like Bradley Marquez to a degree.
Well, they put Orlando Cruz, Orlando Salido on that fight, and that was a much anticipated showdown. I think though that they should put Lucas Matisse and Victor Postol on the undercard as the co-main. I love Gonzalez, and he's fantastic.
No, but Matisse's a name. He's somebody that people would be more willing to shell out money for. Dude.
Exactly. So put them like, my whole point is that if I'm K2 and Golden Boy, I'm doing as much as I can to make this pay-per-view number as high as possible, so that now I can take this into the fights with Andre Ward or whoever the hell else and say, look at all this leverage I got.
Yeah, Andre Ward's never even been in a pay-per-view, has he?
That's a good little trivia question. Maybe he's fought like when he was 2-0 or something.
Right.
I doubt it though. But what do you guys think about that fight as the co-main?
I don't think it adds anything of value per se to the buy rate, but I think it adds value to hardcore boxing fans.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, hardcore boxing fans are going to buy if Rigondeaux versus.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you're getting a treat. Like you're buying this fight and you're getting a treat for buying it. That's kind of nice.
So, how do you feel about this being on pay-per-view then? Since your stance is pretty much nothing's going to make this like a must-buy.
I don't see why this is a pay-per-view attraction.
What about you, Dean? Dean, you've you said like 8 words total so far.
What do you want me to say? Why you should or shouldn't buy this fight? Because I don't think you should buy this fight.
Well, say something.
Okay. Adding Matisse.
I was waiting for the Amir Khan.
Fuck Amir Khan, yeah. Adding Postol,
drops Mike.
Matisse to that card does nothing but just add a luxury fight. It's still nothing that's going to sell pay-per-views.
So you guys are both pretty skeptical about.
You put Gonzalez versus Ruin wrong on that, and it's still not going to sell. Still not going to sell 400,000.
No, but I think Matisse goes further towards selling fights than Gonzalez ever will. I mean, to selling buys. I think you throw Matisse on it, you may be able to get an extra, 25,000 buys. But there's a lot of overlap. Like the same people who are going to be buying a fight for Golovkin would automatically be buying it for Matisse anyways. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
hard. It's hard to predict who's going to add value. But I would go as far as to say that.
Mauricio Herrera should fight.
Yeah.
On the card.
Charges.
Tim Bradley.
Herrera versus Mickey Bay or something.
Oh, that's a great fight.
How much would they charge for that?
Well, that's the other
50,
that's
60
the other
bucks.
factor. Yeah, it'll be $60 HD, I'd imagine.
30.
Much better than 100 though.
Be like 34 pounds.
Yeah, for
this is gonna be on Box Nation.
Well, he's trying to figure out the price.
I could buy 2 Cleverly Bellew pay-per-views for the same price.
All right, that's a drop the mic moment. All right, let's talk about next week's fights. We have Luke Campbell returning versus Tommy Coyle. They're headlining a card over in Hull, England. Luke Campbell is
an exciting guy, right? He's somebody to look out for.
Absolutely. So
Definitely.
Anthony Joshua is like the recognized best prospect in the UK, and those who know who Callum Smith is know that Callum is pretty good. But Luke Campbell's the guy that's really quiet. He doesn't really say much. There's not much charisma that he has to him. Doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, but he can box. This guy has power. He's patient. He sets everything up, works the body really well. He's a southpaw. He looks like a combination of Lomachenko and a young Oscar De La Hoya with the way he fights. And Tommy Coyle is one of those guys. It's like, this is a wild card. Sometimes Coyle looks pretty damn good, and other times you're wondering what the hell Coyle is doing in there.
But should Campbell be on a whole nother level?
Well, he's a prospect. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's tough.
Coyle's faced like some really experienced guys and beat him.
Okay.
This
Campbell's
is the eliminator for the WBC lightweight title. Do you think? Well, I'm assuming Campbell's going to go in there and absolutely destroy Coyle. Do you think Omar Figueroa is going to be concerned about this?
No, because he's fighting in another division now. The lightweight division is wide open. Pretty much everybody who had a title left. Figueroa's at super lightweight. Crawford's at super lightweight.
Gone.
So who have we got then?
As a title holder?
Fucking Terry Flanagan.
Terry Flanagan. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Darlis Perez, who is going to be otherwise engaged with a second fight against Anthony Crolla.
Yes.
Is that?
Go on.
That might be it.
Well, there's Jorge Linares. There's Mickey Bay, who's likely going to be stripped. So that title is going to be open very soon, the IBF title. That's the one that Mickey Bay has.
About the rest of this card, it's a typical matchroom card. I was telling you about this a couple of days ago, how they'll have a glitz and glamour main event, like they'll have a really exciting main event, and the rest of the card is just so you can pick 5, 6, 7 of these fights on the card
really easily. Yeah,
like Stuart Hall, he's like the worst world champion there's ever been, but Stuart Hall, Edwin Thomas,
it's not that bad.
He's up there. Stuart Hall is fighting Edwin Tellez in a 6-round super bantamweight fight, and you've got Gamal Yafai, who is Carl Yafai's brother, fighting Angel Lorence, and then you've got Dillian White fighting a guy who I think Joshua's fought. I think Irino Costa Jr.
No. He's not fought Joshua, but he has lost to Christian Hammer, Joseph Parker, David Price. Guys like that have already been
lost to. Okay.
Lost to David Price.
Right.
Then you've got Ricky Burns.
The return.
Ricky Burns.
Yeah, he's still boxing, bless him, against Prince of Potsu. I've never fucking heard of this guy. And then Brian Rose and Carson Jones in the co-main
fight.
In the co-main. That's what I mean. You get to the main events, and then suddenly the 50-50 fights are, they're exciting fights. But the rest of the card, you could probably find the odds of like 100 to 1 on most of this card.
Well, that's. I mean, it's not just Matchroom. What promoter is putting on cards where every single fight is competitive?
You say that, but Matchroom really have a penchant for doing this. They really do.
We should look at some top rank cards.
That's what I'm saying. I think just all promoters doing it's really easy to.
Let me just say one thing about the Matchroom website. Have any of you guys been on it recently since Frotch retired?
No, I haven't been on it since Frotch retired.
The videos tab is the
just
thumbnail.
All Frotch highlights.
Yeah, it's Frotch knocking out Groves. The photo galleries is Frotch stood in the ring. I think it's after he beat Kessler. Just a picture of Frotch as like the thumbnail. Picture
where he's like carrying the chain and he's in all the face paint? You know that one? That's one of my favorite Frotch ones.
Like the gallery is just like Frotch.
I like Frotch, so I got nothing to add here.
I'm all about it. I'm gonna set it as my desktop background.
But yeah, it's quite a good card. You wouldn't be able to sell it without the main event, but
it's not a pay-per-view card.
Well, how many of those guys are from Hull?
Yeah,
you know, Eddie Hearn does a lot of cards in regions where he puts all those guys on showcase who fight in that area.
Perfect. It gets fans excited. It's like what we don't do in America.
Right. And then there was some guy making a comment yesterday about the Andrew Tabiti fight on the Shumanov undercard, who Shumanov won a unanimous decision, by the way, or he won a decision or something last night. But on that, he was complaining that the Tabiti card, he was fighting this little short fat guy who was completely out of shape. And he was outclassing him, pretty much outclassing him. And he was like, this is complete crap. Why is this on TV? And it's like, Tabiti's got 10 fights, and he's fought nobody. He's a prospect coming up, and it's actually good for him to get this experience fighting on TV, fighting under the lights, having commentary over his fight so he can, listen to what they got to say about him. And the guy who he's fighting, he was out of shape. He was way just massive. But he's also 12-1. Not much power, but it's not like the guy was absolute garbage. And 5'9" for a heavyweight is kind of small though. But
did you guys see this month? Sorry, I'm just going off topic. But did anybody see the Anthony Mundine letter to Mayweather?
That was old news, and it's very cringy.
I know, but
Mayweather, never mind.
I think the better one was Ortiz though.
Oh, God.
Ortiz coming out with the "You owe me, bro. You owe me."
Oh, my kiss.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway, let me finish my point. The whole point here is that seeing these guys develop like this, young guys on TV from a very early, this is how Anthony Joshua is a star. This is how Luke Campbell is headlining a card in 11th fight. This is a big Sky Sports card. It's not like put on Bounce TV like over here in America. This is on Sky Sports, which is like, what is the comparison? ESPN, Dean?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, good. Well, so putting these guys on TV is like, you can see which prospects you like. You can follow their careers. It's no different than like following.
You could follow them and get an investment.
College basketball or football players,
right,
as they make their ascension to the pros.
Right, you making a personal investment in these fighters, and you want to see them succeed, and you want to be in there on the ground floor, and that's not something we do in the United States with boxing. I mean, it's something that we're turning towards a little bit, but it's something that has made boxing less and less accessible too.
Right, and this is why Kovalev and Golovkin, who didn't start fighting on HBO till they were 30 or later, their time is ticking. We're only going to see them get worse.
You don't even know if we saw the prime of their career on HBO. Seriously.
I mean, imagine if we would have seen Sergio Martinez and that he had a competent promoter very early on, seeing him develop. His time was really short in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next fight in Danny Garcia versus Paulie Malignaggi.
All right. What's everybody make a pick?
Pick for the fight?
Yeah.
Garcia, definitely.
Garcia.
Stoppage.
I'll go decision.
I'm going to go Garcia controversial decision.
It's such a fun fight on paper. It really is.
So you two both got a lot to say. I want to hear why you think it's controversial, Jason, and why this is a fun fight, Dean. So go for it, Dean.
It's a fun fight because it's the first fight back for Malignaggi after the Porter knockout.
Yeah, he hasn't been in the ring, right? He hasn't fought since then?
Nobody really knows how Paulie's going to turn up for this, whether it's going to be like his last swan song where he's going to give it everything and, he's going to make it really close and really tough for Danny, and then more people can jump on the Garcia hate bandwagon and say, oh, he's not really that great. Or Garcia's going to take his fucking head off with a left hand. It's that great. Those are the options.
You don't think that Garcia just outboxes him?
No, I think he stops him.
Yeah.
Or knocks him out.
Jason, what's your pick?
Yeah, no, like I said, Garcia controversial decision. I see a fight. I see something really close to Broner versus Paulie, actually, where it's going to come down to your judging preference as to whether you favor the aggressor who's maybe a little ineffective but is having the volume versus the guy who's landing one hard punch for every 3 punches that the other guy is. I think it's really going to come down to a judging preferences kind of fight.
Well, I think though I
don't think Garcia is going to be able to do anything special.
If it is that kind of fight though, Broner has no power at all at welterweight. Garcia has some pop. Now he's not Golovkin, but he does have power. We've seen him hurt guys, and I think if it becomes one of those fights...
What have we seen him do at 147?
Well, that's the point.
Nothing.
I think even at 140, Broner doesn't have any power.
Well, his power was diminished, certainly, at 140, yeah. Sure.
And at 147.
Sure.
And Garcia, I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think, and the other thing is that Garcia has taken a very slow journey to welterweight.
He certainly has. A methodical in
right.
Yeah.
Smart approach. Very smart.
Which Broner, did not do that, and who's going to blame him because Broner just does what Broner does.
Well, yeah, and he paid the price for it.
How? By losing?
Well, yeah.
Twice?
Yes.
I was specifically talking about the Maidana fight, but if you really need me to spell it out for you, yes, the Maidana fight.
Well, I was making a joke because he was dropped twice.
There you go. There you go. A joke with an explanation.
Sometimes they're necessary. All right. So, this is... Let me ask you guys this. Is this more competitive than and a better main event than Kovalev-Mohammadi?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think so.
So who's the one putting on bad fights here?
Yeah. Hey?
Everybody puts on bad fights is the answer to that question.
Exactly. That's a very good answer.
Danny Jacobs versus Sergio Mora, the Latin snake.
Yes.
Who is settling for Danny Jacobs because Golovkin will not give him a shot. Golovkin is avoiding Sergio Mora.
Golovkin has been docking Sergio Mora for years.
Mora has said on Twitter.
How much is Mora getting paid for that?
He's getting paid a good amount.
Why wouldn't you take that fight if you Sergio Mora?
Well, this is pretty much his last real grab at the title.
Last shot, yeah.
Well, imagine if he wins.
Well, and the crazy thing is, Mora can't be counted out. He's just so wily in the ring. He has a slick style, but it's not really that slick. Doesn't have that much power, and he stays active enough that he's been pretty much in every fight he's ever been in. Nobody's ever just wiped the floor with him.
I love it. The Contender is actually like his level.
Who?
I just find that so funny that he was on a TV show called The Contender, and that's like the level he's going to stay at.
Correct.
So ironic.
And Jacobs has looked really solid since he's come back after the loss to Pirog.
So that was a while ago, all right?
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
It was a stoppage loss, though, wasn't it?
Oh, the Pirog fight? Oh, that was a brutal stoppage.
Yeah.
That one was just filthy. All right, so this is actually gonna be a really good fight. I don't know
it's
how
actually a
watchable
really good
it's gonna
card.
be, but this is two really good competitive fights.
Sergio Mora could lay a fucking egg in that fight, dude. If we know Sergio Mora, he could stink that place out, and he could stink out and lose still too.
Correct. Sergio Mora could bring down PBC as we know it.
Exactly. Well,
no, I don't think so, though.
Well, didn't PBC premiere with Vasquez Bay or something, some god awful fight?
No, their first fight was Thurman Guerrero.
Oh, Thurman Guerrero.
Which you hated that fight, Jason.
Yeah.
You did. A lot of people did like that fight.
Yeah. No, but didn't they start off with a really tough fight? Never mind. Who was on the undercard of that fight? You remember?
Thurman Guerrero?
Yeah.
Broner Molina.
Broner Molina.
Which almost brought PBC down.
That's what I was thinking of, right? Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Vasquez Bay almost brought boxing down.
That would bring boxing as a whole down.
HBO
think Pacquiao Mayweather did bad.
It's not funny.
I know, his shoulder was hurt.
And then on Sunday, Juan Carlos Payano versus Rashid Warren. Payano got his belt on a technical decision over Anselmo Moreno, who is going to be fighting Shinsuke Yamanaka in, I think, September. That is a really good fight. Payano's good, though. Rashid Warren has looked pretty spectacular as a prospect. This is going to be a pretty entertaining fight. And this is not an easy fight for Warren as a prospect to get a title. This is...
Hopefully it's not too tough, but hopefully it will give him a little bit of a test and some experience and some, a little bit of difficulty to overcome.
This is the legit, too, title of the division. And this is an example of not going easy on your prospect, throwing them right into the fire. And we've seen this not work plenty of times. It's
not necessarily a bad thing, though.
No, not at all.
The right way to go.
And if Warren wins, we have another top bantamweight out there that's an American as well. And maybe we can bring some attention to that division and maybe bring Yamanaka over to America. And this is the most competitive fight, in my eyes, all weekend. And the one that you should not miss above all else. This
going to be on TV in the United States, Angela?
It will be. It will be. Yeah.
It's one of those daytime fights on Sundays or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. It's a Premier Boxing Champions deal. And I think it's going to be on Bounce TV. Yeah, Bounce TV. I don't know what channel that is. Let me see.
That's a real thing in the United States?
From what I hear, it's a brand new channel.
Okay.
And it's it's a free channel over the air.
I thought you were just making fun of that promoter in the UK.
Which one?
I don't know, something Bounce.
Oh, Frank Warren and his bounce checks?
Yeah.
Warren is known for suing people for slander and stuff, so let's not say anything.
We'll hit the brakes.
Joseph Parker is also fighting this weekend, so definitely check that out. So let's jump on to some new stuff before we start wrapping it up. So this morning, I saw a tweet from Eddie Hearn, and it was a screenshot from The Ring, the website, and it's their super bantamweight division rankings. So the champion is Guillermo Rigondeaux, obviously. Number 4 is Nonito Donaire. Number 3 is Carl Frampton. Number 2 is Leo Santa Cruz, and that leaves us with number 1, Scott Quigg. Your thoughts?
I think that's no. I think Frampton is still the number 1 guy behind Rigondeaux in that division, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, he got dropped twice in the first round of his fight. You still think that?
Rigondeaux got dropped twice against that huge ass Japanese guy.
That Japanese vampire.
He did look like a vampire.
Yeah, it happens, but he still won the fight.
Yeah, but Scott Quigg's never been down,
And he's drawn twice.
He knocked out Kiko Martinez with a big shot.
Yeah, I like Quigg, but if we're being realistic, he's either probably behind Frampton as number 2.
Isn't Quigg's best win the Kiko Martinez win?
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah. And Carl Frampton stopped him once and beat him in 12 rounds So like that, they're basing Quig's wins off of somebody Frampton's already beat twice. Like
maybe they're basing it off Frampton going down twice. I don't know.
That's ridiculous, though. He went on to look fantastic in that fight.
The other thing about this is that Santa Cruz, former Golden Boy fighter, is now independent of Golden Boy and over with PBC, and he suddenly dropped from number 1 to number 2.
Right, he'll slowly drop down. And who wants to put Frampton ahead of him? Another PBC guy.
Exactly, and then Donaire,
not Golden
the
Boy
top-ranked guy. Except, I mean, well, Donaire doesn't belong in the top 3
of anything.
How do you guys see that going again? Nonito Donaire and Scott Quigg? Because it looks like that fight's gonna happen this week. Donaire gave an interview to Sky Sports saying he was willing to come over to Manchester to fight Quigg, saying he doesn't mind being the B-side, he doesn't mind coming over, not being the favourite, and fighting Quigg for the belt. So
at this point, he doesn't even have any options really for big fights. Donaire doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't have much pull, but
I don't know. Winnable.
Interesting fight. Yeah, interesting fight.
After Rigondeaux and after Walters, do you still think he has enough in the tank to beat Quigg? I'm not saying Quigg is elite, but
Quigg's not elite, and Donaire's pretty much shot. So it makes for an interesting combination of like the guy on the decline versus the guy coming up kind of storyline.
And he's on the decline, but he does have one weapon, one bullet left in his gun.
Exactly.
And he could knock out conceivably Rigondeaux, Frampton, and Santa Cruz in the same night if he can land the same punch or that left hook. That left hook is, we've seen time and time again, just nasty. So I think Quigg enters as a favorite to that fight. A solid favorite, like minus 300 or something. But you'll get a lot of people betting on Donaire getting lucky, and that would not be a good strategy for your betting.
Right.
So let's talk about Terence Crawford's return. Targeted for the fall, and possibly his opponent is Deary Jean. If you don't know who that is, he's this Canadian fighter who is a 135 fighter, a lightweight, for his whole career, decides to move up to 140 to fight Lamont Peterson. And Peterson thoroughly outboxed him, outpointed him, and Jean had nothing at super lightweight and decided, I guess I'll move back down to lightweight because that's where I've been fighting and that's where I'm really good at. And Jean is not lost at all at lightweight. He's looked very good as a lightweight, and now he's in the running to fight another 140-pound fighter with a very similar, you could say, body structure and stuff to Peterson. An outside, tall fighter with a jab. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for Deary Jean, and really, I wish it doesn't make sense for the trajectory that I'd like to see Crawford on, too, honestly.
We call it a fight to keep him active.
What's that?
Is it just a fight to keep Crawford active for the time being, though?
What would they be keeping him active for? I mean, obviously
Pacquiao.
Yeah, Pacquiao next year.
I guess, or really like Rios. Is Rios actually tied up with anybody right now? That fight fell through, right?
Yeah.
Only his manager.
But do you think Pacquiao accepts a fight with Terence Crawford in his first fight back from shoulder injury? Quotation marks.
Yeah, because it'll probably be his last fight back as well.
Yeah, I mean, probably not, but I don't know if. Yeah, sure, maybe it's just a stay busy fight for him. I guess he doesn't stay all that busy though. He normally only fights a couple times a year. So when I see him fight, I want to see him in there with something that I at least deem a challenge.
That's it, because he fought 3 times in 2013, he fought 3 times in 2014, and now it's near enough August. And
we're looking at 2 times this year, right?
Yeah, it's slowing down a bit. So maybe they've got plans for him, like either late this year or earlier next year, to just keep him going, keep him ticking over until that fight does, maybe with Pacquiao, does show itself.
I don't know. I'd rather see him in with Rios or Provodnikov or something. One of those bangers.
Maybe. I think Provodnikov I think he'd beat Provodnikov quite easily.
Handedly.
Quite handily. Yeah, very handily. Too one-dimensional. But that's it. What happened? Because he's been in with. You could argue he's been in with some punchers at the weight classes he's fought in.
Yep.
And he's dispatched them. So,
I think the strategy should be that they need to look at building Crawford's prestige. They don't need to put him in with murderous punchers so much that they need to make him like have accomplishments. And one of the things that they should do is like, let's unify titles. Give him Benavidez. Benavidez holds a title. It's an interim title, but it's a title. Garcia's titles are going to be vacated, so it's likely Garcia holds a WBA that Benavidez might get upgraded to full champion. Crawford beats him, and I think we can all agree that Crawford doesn't really have much trouble with Benavidez. And that's what they got to do with him, because do you really want to see Crawford versus Humberto Soto?
Yeah, no, right. God, no.
And we know that Crawford is not going to stay at 140. He's sitting here biding his time until jumping up to 147 is going to make business sense.
Is going to make him the most money, right? Maybe, but who knows if that's going to even end up being with Top Rank.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which is probably the thought that every Top Rank fighter is having right now is,
why am I here?
Yep.
No, seriously.
Just the money these guys are getting over with PBC broadcast is crazy. Yep.
What do you think they try to do at Top Rank at the moment? Like, what's their plan? Do you think they try to crack China, or do you think they're putting too much emphasis into that rather than on American fighters?
That's a good question.
They've tried twice now to rush this China thing, and it should be like a 5-year plan. And maybe Aaron doesn't have 5 years left, and that's why they try to rush it. But they've tried twice. First time they tried it with Zhu Shiming, and then Run Wrong made him look ordinary. And then they've tried it recently again with Ik Yang against Cuenca, and Cuenca
that was a laugh.
Cuenca just was like, nah, my title.
You don't know how to box.
Yeah, it's not how it's going down. I'm taking the title.
Or that's another option, is have Cuenca fight Crawford. It's not going to be pretty, but Crawford should have no trouble with Cuenca, apart from maybe 1 or 2 rounds. If Top Rank's plan is to do something with China, that's fine. But like you said, it has to be a 5-year plan, and it doesn't start with creating a champion. It starts with creating a foundation there. We've seen that the countries with good amateur backgrounds are producing the best professionals. Kazakhstan is ruling the amateur field right now. They just won the World Series of Boxing, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor when guys like Shumanov and Golovkin are having success, and we have some other guys coming up like Ruslan Madaev, I think is how you say his name, who's looked really good so far. And it starts with the amateur background. Cuban fighters, came into... the last few years we have several Cuban guys grab titles, and it's a lot of it has to do with their amateur background, and that's got to be the plan over there, is to set something up so that you almost have like a factory that's producing these guys. You can't just have a guy turn pro and then give him fights and hope that he's fit for a title. We just saw it. Ik Yang, it didn't work.
Right, it's got to be a long term.
With Zhu Shiming, though, they had to go with Ik Yang this time, but it was nothing compared to like what they were doing with Zhu Shiming. I mean, the guy was on Beats adverts. They were really, really trying to push this guy, and then it just fell flat.
They rushed Shiming way too quickly too.
And now what's happened? Like, what's going on with Shiming now? I don't know.
Top Rank needs to start looking at a lot of the young fighters and building them up. If they keep focusing on trying to build the guys, time's running out. Pacquiao's got 1 or 2 fights left, and I know they say that he's got a lot more, but they need to prepare that they're going to keep losing people to PBC.
Okay. But it's tough because the bottom line is boxing business kind of comes down to loyalties too. So there's a lot of loyalty issues, and
Really?
We make it sound easy, but it's tough for a boxer to just up and switch promoters, or that's going to make a whole shakeup in the network or something. You know what I mean? Like, imagine Golovkin going to PBC. Like, that'd be a massive shakeup in the boxing landscape. Like, massive, massive, massive.
Yep.
So I think boxers like Golovkin could use that to their advantage in their current promotional, situations, and maybe they could get better contracts out of it, and kind of, rising tide rises all ships, right?
Yeah.
Well, say about that loyalty thing. I mean, everybody's loyal until, somebody throws enough money at them. I mean, to borrow a line, everybody has a price, unless you're Tony Thompson and you have two of them, but whatever.
I think you just said that just to say that point.
No, I thought as it was going. But, like, the loyalty thing, like, you can tempt so many boxers just by, maybe putting another 50 grand, 100 grand, depending on what level they're at, on top of the fight bonus. And then, they're gonna want to go to PBC. They're not going to want to sit in Top Rank or sit at Golden Boy when these guys boxing on free TV earning more money than they are.
Yeah. Let's talk about our last two topics. So Shane Mosley Jr. tested positive for a PED. So sure, okay, and this is the I don't know, what are we gonna say about this? The real story here is that Shane Mosley, if you didn't know, has been in a Twitter war with Ricardo Mayorga, where Mayorga asked for a rematch and called him a grandpa on Twitter. So Mosley said, "Wait a second, you're the same age as me. Are you calling me a grandpa?" And
no. You're not doing that justice. You've got to read the proper reply.
Okay, go for it.
What the fuck is a revancha? And did this motherfucker just call me abuelo? Is that a grandpa? I'm the same fucking age as you.
So now, on the same day that Santa Cruz and Mares are fighting, it's going to be Shane Mosley versus Ricardo Mayorga in a much anticipated rematch. Ricardo Mayorga has promised to knock out Mosley in 3 rounds and then smoke a cigar. They're fighting at the Forum on pay-per-view, and they only need about 40,000 buys to break even.
Have you seen Mayorga's tweeted about Lemieux and Golovkin as well?
What's he saying?
It's in broken Spanish English, so you might like fair, but Lemieux es un homosex spice boy. Our sparring partner Rubio, who we knock out many times, will KO. After Shane, we want Gordo, Julita, then we want Triple G.
All right, we'll do it. If I'm Golovkin, I say, beat Mosley, I'll fight you.
After we KO Shane Mosley, we make his son change his name to Shane Mayorga. Shane Mosley will have job of cleaning our dishes in Managua.
So what are you guys going to watch that day? You watching this fight or the Mares-Santa Cruz fight?
Oh, I'm fucking watching Mayorga Mosley.
It's Mosley Mayorga. Let's get this right. Mosley's the draw here. What about you, Jason?
Who knows? We'll have to say.
Listener, you got to send us an email and let us know which fight you're choosing this day. You're going to choose the Mosley-Mayorga fight or Santa Cruz-Mares. So last topic, Chavez Jr. is chirping away on, what is he, is it Twitter, Instagram, but basically he wants to fight either Alfredo Angulo, who has recently fought at 160.
I was going to say, roughly 3 weight classes below him.
Or Gabe Rosado, who is roughly fought at 154?
He's a career 154 pounder.
Yeah.
And Chavez Jr., who weighed in at, 170 pounds in his last fight?
Okay.
Would like a fight with those two.
Yep. Seems legit.
If he can make it without diuretics, then I'm very, very happy to watch that. But there's never going to be a rehydration clause in that because Chavez will show up on fight night at 230. So,
he's the only fighter that kills themselves to get down to 175. Like there's no other fighters that do that. Like, they just don't struggle to make that kind of weight. He's just so unprofessional and out of shape. It's ridiculous.
The thing about Chavez, you could put him in any division and he'd struggle to make the weight as long as it wasn't heavyweight. You could put him at cruiserweight and he'd still struggle to make the weight.
Yeah, it's just an attitude thing.
They should sign this fight at 154. And Rosado should just say, I know you're not going to make weight. So let's actually make him get down to 158. And so when he rehydrates, it's like only to 175.
Dude,
instead of 200.
The last time he fought, you're talking about having Chavez Jr. sign a contract to fight at junior middleweight?
Yeah, he'd probably sign it in crayon.
You're a psychopath. Like, he hasn't fought at even middleweight in years. Like,
it hasn't been years. It's been
yes, it has.
It's been recent. He just doesn't make weight.
No. He hasn't fought a middleweight since the Martinez fight.
He shows up 54 pounds overweight.
All the other contracts have been over middleweight.
For those who don't know, the Chavez Martinez fight was September 2012.
Yes, and that was the last time he had a contracted middleweight fight, and he looked like hell. He looked like Skeletor.
He weighed in at 158.
Yeah.
And rehydrated to 206.
I was about to say, what was the rehydration?
The rehydration clause was 50 pounds or lower. So he made the weight on the second weigh-in.
Just.
They actually had to get a bigger size for his trunks the next day. All right, so that's it for this week's podcast. You can send us an email, podcast@SundayPuncher.com. And we do want to know, which fight you picking? Mosley Mayorga?
Who you picking?
We don't need your prediction because we know that Mayorga is going to knock out Mosley in Tress rounds.
Without a doubt.
And then have Cigar, and then use Mosley as a punching bag in his gym. If you've not looked at Ricardo Mayorga's Twitter, you got to do that. He's you can follow him at the real Ricardo Mayorga?
Real Mayorga.
The real Mayorga. There's some classic tweets there. If you're easily offended, don't look.
It is definitely him, even though there's no blue tick next to it. I made a point of saying to Angelo a few weeks back, how fucking hilarious would it be if Mosley had got pissed off at a parody account and just signed the fight to fight Mayorga because of a parody of Mayorga giving him shit.
It'd been funny if he signed the fight to fight the parody account holder.
Yeah, exactly. He shows up and is some small Mexican dude.
Dan Rafael.
Oh. All right. So follow us on Twitter, Sunday_Puncher, email podcast@SundayPuncher.com.
You guys get Simon back next week as well. No more of this chaos.
Oh yeah, and Dean, why don't you take the floor for the last minute or so of the podcast? This is Dean's corner. Your time to rant. Your goodbye.
This is like Springer's final thought.
Yeah, exactly. So the floor is yours.
I really don't have much to say other than, you brought this on yourself by inviting me on. So, thanks for having me. And, of course, as always, fuck Amir Khan. And I'm done there.
That was Dean's Corner. Thanks for listening.